Chad, we're a little over a month away now from the NFL draft in Kansas City. I mean, the buzz around the quarterbacks has dominated all of the discussion. I think there's great defensive talent in the top 15 that will drop because of the quarterbacks and potentially the run on the top receiver or offensive line, offensive tackle. There's a couple of them there. And I'm factoring that into my top 10 mock. But you and I have not seen each other's mock until right now with the predictions of what we think will happen.
It's a blind draft.
Yes. And
we're also going with no trades. Like, we're not factoring in trying to predict trades and all that.
And there will be.
We acknowledge there will be trades, but we're not doing that for this exercise.
I'm curious where we will stand on the top 10 mock that we have right now the week of the draft compared to about, 5.5 weeks until then. And we'll go in reverse order, starting with the 10th overall selection held by the Philadelphia Eagles. And, Chad, I have them taking Christian Gonzalez, the corner from Oregon. I don't think he's the 10th overall player. I think he's much better than that, quite frankly. But I do think the run on offensive talent is going to push the top corner down. And we've seen some movement at the corner position in the secondary for Philadelphia. They've done a good job of bringing their vets back that many thought were going to, some did, hit the open market, but then they renegotiated a contract. But Gonzalez is the top corner, and a great defense gets even better for the here and now and the future by drafting Gonzalez out of Oregon.
We had not seen these before, as you had mentioned, so good to know, though, that we were on the same wavelength positionally with number 10 pick. I went with Joey Porter Jr. from Penn State, another corner to the Eagles. Got the pro lineage with his dad, Joey Porter. Big guy at the corner position. The Eagles are solid everywhere, especially on defense. But I'm with you, Hutton. I think this is a position where they could always use help, and it's one that makes a really good defense even better. I just went with a different corner with Joey Porter Jr., staying in the state of Pennsylvania and playing for the Philadelphia Eagles.
With the 9th selection, the Chicago Bears. My next pick is a potential Eagle. They pick 10th. Chicago gets Lucas Van Ness, though, the talented edge rusher from Iowa. This is where they have traded away talent in the pass rush department. They're about to revamp, and they've got plenty of draft selections. They've certainly done some nice things through free agency. I'm taking Van Ness because they're going to attack the edge and improve their overall pass rush to get after the quarterback. There's talk that Philadelphia really likes him. He's not going to be there at 10 because Chicago's taking him at 9 when they trade back from Carolina. They'll take defense, and I have them taking pass rush.
Defense, pass rush. I'm thinking the exact same thing for what the Bears need, what they covet in this draft, but I am going with a different player. Okay. Tyree Wilson, the edge out of Texas Tech, falls under the physical freak category. He has been a fast riser on the draft board. Not many people during the college football season probably even knew who he was. Terrific talent, enormous upside for Tyree Wilson. I've got the Bears taking him with the 9th overall pick.
Yeah, and the Bears are in a great spot, right? They could trade back out of this, too, and pick up more selections. They're going to get a great defensive player because Chad and I are about to have the run on quarterback, but not yet. It's way too late in the top 10 to talk quarterback.
I feel like the Bears right now, Hutton, are where the Lions were a year ago, where they kept stacking things up, and you start to finally think, man, the Lions are making some good moves, and they've got multiple picks, and I like the picks they're making. The Bears are starting to build that way also after years of questionable choices.
You know what's bad? It wasn't just the edge rush for Chicago. Even worse was what was taking place in Atlanta. And they have Desmond Ridder. They drafted him last year. They will continue to add some talent on offense throughout the draft, but not in the top 10 because I'm going with the athletic freak of Nolan Smith, who dominated the NFL Combine, and the Falcons have to get faster, more athletic, younger, and more dynamic defensively. They have to be able to help out what is a young quarterback if they're moving forward with Ridder. And, Chad, they've got to be able to get off the field defensively. Stop chasing teams on the scoreboard. Arthur Smith has a chance to turn the corner as the head coach there in Atlanta, but it's going to have to start on defense. New defensive coordinator, and now they get a speed demon and a guy that, again, played on a great defense in the SEC at Georgia. That produces in the NFL. We've seen it.
Do not hate that pick at all. I'm a big Nolan Smith fan, and you're right. Georgia had a terrific defense 2 years ago, an all-time great defense. Illinois had a really good defense this year, too.
Yeah, they did.
They hang their hat on defense with Brett Bielema and the Illini. I like Devin Witherspoon, linebacker also, so we've matched up positionally so far through this draft. Devin Witherspoon, number 8 to the Falcons. I love what he brings to the table. And you're right, there's a number of spots you can point to for the Falcons and say, well, this could be the pick. You know, they could go in this direction. But this is a team that needs defense. They got to get younger, faster, and just bottom line better defensively. Devin Witherspoon's one of those players who's just going to make anyone better. I'd say Nolan Smith, same type of player. He's going to make you better also. But I went with Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois, 8th overall.
Chad, you mentioned earlier, we're not doing trades in this. So
here we go.
I have a quarterback going 7th overall. I have the Las Vegas Raiders selecting Will Levis, joining Josh McDaniels, and joining Jimmy Garoppolo in Las Vegas. I still think the Raiders are in play. Seattle could be too. They could also be in play for a quarterback. But the Raiders with Garoppolo, you're signing him to a nice salary now. He's going to make, 25, 27 million this year. But they have to plan for the future. They really need to plan for next season too, because Garoppolo doesn't start every game. And with McDaniels, it's time to win games. You have the opportunity to get one of the top quarterbacks in this draft. We have harped on this for longer than the draft period of the offseason. We've been saying this for months. Will Levis is not number 1 overall talent that Mel Kiper makes him out to be. But he is a very talented quarterback, and he's worthy of a top 10 selection here, given the fact that I'm going to have 3 other quarterbacks off my board. The Raiders take Will Levis in a no-trade top 10 mock. He's going to Las Vegas.
My pick at number 7, if I were the Raiders and I were their GM and I were their coach, my pick would be Hendon Hooker.
Okay.
With this spot, looking for quarterback. But I'm not the Raiders. I'm not Josh McDaniels. And I know where this thing is going, and it's Will Levis. This is one where we match up. Will Levis will be the pick at number 7 of the Raiders, partly because the Raiders can't get out of their own way many times. Will Levis has good upside. I don't want to make this about something bashing him. He's shown the ability to do some really good things at Kentucky. I don't think he's shown the consistency. I don't think he's shown the decision-making. I think the arm strength is a little bit overrated also with Will Levis. But I do think that he will be drafted by the Raiders 7th overall, and that will be the new Raiders signal caller.
I think some will be surprised that we're saying Will Levis to the Raiders here, and the Colts are passing up on him, but that's still to come. But first, Detroit. The Detroit Lions, they want guys who are, ankle biters, knee biters, whatever it is.
Bite some kneecaps?
Yeah, kneecaps.
Tear some patellar tendons?
They're getting a gift based on how the last 2.5 months have gone for Jalen Carter out of Georgia. Not only in regards to what happened the early morning hours of the crash that killed a teammate and a staff member at Georgia, but also at the pro day, he's out of shape. He can't finish drills weeks after he was showing up to the combine. Detroit won't pass up on him, though, and here's why. He's going to be playing next to Aiden Hutchinson. You have Jalen Carter and Aiden Hutchinson dominating the NFC North. That is a great fit in what is turning into a nice culture that's being built by Lions players there and the free agents that are joining that roster that are saying, we are a very talented team. The Lions were last year. Here's why I'm joining. Carter fits in there, and he fits in with the mentality of dominant on the defensive front for that Lions organization.
This falls under the category of pick that makes sense for what the Lions have built, what they are building. Jalen Carter's a top 3 pick, if not for the issues. And I'm not making light of the issues. There are issues. A big one is the out-of-shape thing. That concerns me that he may not go this high in the draft. But top 3 pick that falls to you at 6, a position everyone can use. I love Jalen Carter for the Lions and what they're building at 6th overall. I went with him there as well.
Chad, I think Seattle.
We did not check with each other before this either. We have lined up on the last two.
Last two. I think Seattle could be in play for a quarterback at 5. Could be. But I also believe that they can draft a quarterback later. Potentially, you mentioned Hendon Hooker of that realm, and then pair them with what we've seen from Geno Smith, who signed an extension and is getting really nice money this season. I have them taking Tyree Wilson, who some have as the best edge rusher in the draft, even ahead of Will Anderson. Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech. He's headed to Seattle, and they're about to rebrand and rebuild their defensive front through this draft, and they get a great player at number 5 overall.
Given the Seahawks' history, I think Tyree Wilson maybe makes a little more sense than the guy I'm going to go with.
Okay.
But I really like this player. Miles Murphy from Clemson. I'm also going with an edge. I think he's the pick at number 5 for Seattle. Same reasons you're talking about in terms of need. I just like Murphy a little bit better. So I'm giving him the nudge up to number 5 with Seattle picking him.
Here's where the quarterbacks start to go, and we've already have Will Levis off our board. We have Will Levis in Las Vegas, and straight ahead, for me, C.J. Stroud to the Indianapolis Colts. A surprise for many, I know. I have him falling to number 4. But C.J. Stroud is going to be a gift to Indianapolis based on what has happened in my mock on the first 3 picks. And again, no one's trading. And if C.J. Stroud is available, Indianapolis is nervous because Arizona's ahead of them, and Arizona needs to trade out of that pick because they're going to get a hefty deal to move back. Maybe it's with Indy at that point. C.J. Stroud is a great fit for that Indianapolis offense now. And if you think about where the head coach came from, Philly, and how they're pairing that offense now with what they want to be as a run-based team, that's a great opportunity for a rookie to come in and start. Take some lumps, sure, but build around him, much like what we're seeing right now with the young quarterbacks a year or two ahead of where Indianapolis is right now in search of a franchise quarterback. I think Stroud, you can argue, is the best quarterback in the draft, and I have him at number 4 to Indy.
Same line of thinking as you, Hutton, different player. Shane Steichen, coming from Philly, had a lot of success with Jalen Hurts, who runs the ball well, runs the ball a lot. Anthony Richardson is a quarterback he could pair well with Indy. I don't have them drafting C.J. Stroud for reasons you'll see 3 picks from now. Okay. I don't think he's going to be available. I think the Colts and Steichen will value Anthony Richardson and what he brings to the table with his athleticism, in large part because of what he was able to accomplish with Jalen Hurts in Philly. Anthony Richardson, 4th overall to the Colts.
At number 3, Arizona, I think I can say we're both taking Will Anderson to the Arizona Cardinals. He's number 1. He's top-tier talent for me. And I think he's the best player top to bottom in the draft, quite frankly. And he's going to go to Arizona and, new coach, new general manager, a chance to change the locker room a bit here. Anderson's the perfect guy to do it. As long as he's not facing a Tennessee offensive tackle, the dude produces. And they need help in that area. Again, they're a lot like Atlanta. They chase offensively. They can't do that. They need sacks. They need to pressure the quarterback and get off the field on 3rd down. Anderson's a perfect pick.
Hutton described that beautifully. We'll move right along and say, I've got the same player. Will Anderson, Cardinals, no-brainer for them.
Bryce Young to Houston. Can we both say that too? Because I don't think Young's going number 1, and Houston seems locked in on Bryce Young as their guy, their next big, talented franchise quarterback that is, they believe, going to be the next Deshaun Watson pre-holdout and contract demand.
The size concerns with Bryce Young are bigger than I imagined coming into this. For that reason, I think he's the 2nd overall pick by Houston and not number 1. But Hutton, we have different number 1 overall picks.
Yeah, and I look, Carolina's looking for a superstar in the stratosphere. David Tepper wants a franchise quarterback so much that he's hired Frank Reich. They have signed Andy Dalton as well, who the Chicago Bears signed and said he's our number 1 guy after drafting Justin Fields. Because of that, I have them taking, and surprising many, the quarterback with the highest ceiling. Anthony Richardson, number 1 overall to the Carolina Panthers. Cam Newton comparisons, there he is in Carolina. Anthony Richardson, number 1.
I'm going C.J. Stroud. I think he's going to be the pick for Carolina. Of course, they had everyone there at his pro day.
Yes, they did.
I just watch C.J. Stroud and think, boy, this is safe. He is a safe player. Size, ability, accuracy, decision-making. Love C.J. Stroud. I think he's the number 1 overall pick to Carolina, and David Tepper will finally have his franchise quarterback.
I like that. And Reich, I mean, there was someone tweeted a photo of the pro day, and Reich is just mesmerized talking to C.J. Stroud. I think it was captured with he's fallen in love. He's
the boy with a crush.
Smitten. We turned these in last week, by the way, and I can't wait to see how things change the week of the NFL draft.